Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Fred Rogers.
Wow, it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Yeah. What a special treat to be with all of you friends again. For a long time, I've wondered why I felt like bowing when people showed their appreciation for the work that I've been privileged to do. It's been a kind of natural physical response to a feeling of great gratitude. What I've come to understand is that we who bow are probably, whether we know it or not, acknowledging the presence of the sacred. We're bowing to the sacred in our neighbor. You see, I believe that appreciation is a holy thing. That when we look for what's best in the person we happen to be with at the moment, we're doing what God does all the time. So, in loving and appreciating our neighbor, we're participating in something extremely sacred. As I bow, I often think of saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. This doctoral robe that I'm wearing today was my father's robe. My mother bought it for him in 1963 when he was awarded his Doctor of Humanities degree here at St. Vincent. It was Chancellor Strittmatter who presented Dad with that degree, and he said that Dad was endowed with untiring zeal for the betterment of others. And that's absolutely true. In his own quiet way, he was forever doing something that would eventually help somebody else. As the years go on, I appreciate him more and more. And one of Dad's favorite people in this whole world was his daughter-in-law. He loved Joanne as he loved his own daughter and his own son. He delighted in her musical artistry as well as her good humor and generous nature. So Dad would be exceedingly pleased to know that Joanne is joining him today in the ranks of the Doctors of St. Vincent. Early in the morning of every workday, before I get to my office, there's someone besides Joanne who influences me greatly. This person has a job which many people might consider unglamorous and tediously mundane. He's the locker room attendant in Pittsburgh where I swim each day. His name is Jeff. We recently celebrated Jeff's 25th anniversary working at the pool. 25 years cleaning sinks and sorting towels and caring about everybody. For his anniversary, some of us regulars got him a cake and a book about New York because Jeff just loves New York. Honk, 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 he says when he talks about it. And he loves to watch the Today Show with people lined up on the streets around Rockefeller Plaza. Several years ago, when Jeff's mother died, Joanne and I went to visit at the funeral home, and Jeff seemed very glad to see us. And when we told him how sorry we were, he said, "We all have to go sometime. Mom's in heaven." Well, the other day I told Jeff about writing this commencement speech. and I wondered what he thought I should say. "I don't know," he answered, which I thought was about as honest and direct a response as anyone could give. But of course, I wanted to hear more. So I said, "But Jeff, why do you think we human beings are here on earth?" And without a second's hesitation, he answered, "To enjoy our life." And then he went right back to scrubbing the showers. Blessed are the pure in heart, to enjoy our life, appreciate the gift that it is, and do what we can so that others might enjoy theirs. When I graduated from college, I had little notion of how I'd ever be able to put together all the interests that I had. It took a good deal of time, and my parents probably wondered if I'd ever make anything of myself. But after a lot of help from others, I'll never forget the sense of wholeness I felt when I finally realized, in fact, who I really was. Not just a songwriter or a language buff or a student of human development or a telecommunicator. I was someone who could use every talent that had ever been given to me in the service of children. I can tell you that it was that particular focus, as Father Martin has mentioned, that made all the difference for me. I can also tell you that none of that was written on the back of my college diploma. It's a miracle when you finally discover whom you're best equipped to serve. And we're all equipped to serve in some way. Some of us may try several different jobs before we discover what's really best for us and for others. We can be very good at all those jobs. Nevertheless, what a blessing it is when we, like Father Martin, can discern our truest calling. And what an added blessing it is when those who love us will support us in that calling. It's not the glamour of the title or the number of figures on the paycheck that ultimately matter. It's where we can best appreciate, as Jeff says, best enjoy the life we've been given, and to think that each one of our lives is unique. One day I was privileged to sit in on one of Yo-Yo Ma's master classes. Now, Yo-Yo is one of the great appreciators of all time. People always walk taller after they've had an encounter with him. It seems that the only thing that's larger than his talent is his heart. At any rate, during that master class, one young man was struggling with the tone of a certain cello passage. He played it over and over, and Yo-Yo listened with obvious interest. Finally, Yo-Yo said, "Nobody else can make the sound you make." That young man looked at Yo-Yo and beamed. What a gift those words were, not only to that cellist, but everyone who was there. Nobody else can make the sound you make. Well, nobody else can live the life you live. And even though no human being is perfect, as Rembert Weekland says, we can all work together to heal the world. Yes, we always have the chance to bring what's unique about us, to live with a triumphant spirit in a redeeming way. I often think about what Eleanor Roosevelt wrote in 1945 after she discovered that her husband was not alone when he died, and that her own daughter had arranged for Lucy Mercer Rutherford's final visit. All human beings have needs and temptations and stresses, Mrs. Roosevelt wrote. People who live together through long years get to know one another's failings, but they also come to know what is worthy of respect and admiration in those they live with and in themselves. Eleanor Roosevelt had obviously somewhere along the way discovered that loving truth which is at the center of all creation. A few days ago, I was driving to my early morning swim. A bus pulled in front of me, and on it was a big advertisement for some instant food, just add water kind of product. The headline of the ad was in large letters, and this is how it read: "Happiness now available in a box." I thought to myself, talk about consumerism. Talk about trying to fool the public. Happiness now available in a box. Just the opposite of what I want people to believe. Anyway, I was full of it when I got to the locker room, and I mentioned it to Jeff. He laughed and said, "Happiness in a box, now that's a good one." And I asked him, "Do you think we could ever find happiness in a box?" And he answered, "No, but we can find it right here." And he went on his way. And I went for my swim, giving thanks again for Jeff's appreciative heart. One of our family's great blessings is our lifelong friendship with Archibald Douglas. As you know, Douglas has helped to make a profound difference in the lives of many people, and an extraordinary contribution to the life of St. Vincent's Abbey, Seminary, and College. My hunch is that Boniface Wimmer somehow interceded in the heavenly courts and made sure that that job went to Douglas. Well, several years ago, knowing how much I liked Saint-Exupéry's book, The Little Prince, Douglas gave me a framed piece of calligraphy with a sentence from that book. It reads, "L'essentiel est invisible pour les yeux. What is essential is invisible to the eye." I feel the closer we get to knowing and living the truth of that sentence, the closer we get to wisdom. Now, what is essential about you that is invisible to the eye? And who are those who have helped you to become who you are today? Anyone who has ever graduated from a college, anyone who has ever been able to sustain a good work, has had at least one person, and often many, who believed in him or her. We just don't get to be competent human beings without many different investments from others. I'd like to give you all an invisible gift, a gift of silence, to think about those who nourish you at the deepest parts of your being. Anyone who has ever loved you and wanted what was best for you in life. Some of those people may be right here today. Certainly that's true for me. Some may be far away. Some may even be in heaven. But if they've encouraged you to come closer to what you know to be essential about life, I'd like you to have a silent minute to think of them. 1 minute. Whomever you've been thinking about, just imagine how grateful they must be that at this extra special moment in your life, you're remembering them with such thanksgiving. You know, the Greek word for thanks is Eucharist. The way we say thank you to God and to each other is the greatest imaginable form of appreciation. There's a song that we sometimes sing on the neighborhood. It's called "There Are Many Ways to Say I Love You." The song ends with these words: "You'll find many ways to say I love you. You'll find many ways to understand what love is. Many ways, many ways, many ways to say I love you." You know, you don't ever have to do anything sensational in order to love people or to have people love you. I've long since discovered that the real drama of life, that which matters most, is never center stage or in the spotlight. In fact, it has very little to do with high IQs and honors and the fancy outsides of life. What ultimately nourishes our souls is the knowing that we can be trusted, that we never have to fear the truth, that the foundation of our very being is good stuff. So in the midst of this community of St. Vincent, who has always majored in hospitality, my prayer for you is that you will take good care of that part of you, that invisible part of you, where your best dreams come from, that part of you that helps you to appreciate your life and encourages you to bow to your neighbor in that sacred space between grateful hearts. That's what will matter most in our world. We're counting on you. Congratulations.